Thanks, Melody. I'm glad you were here to tell us about the recycling program. Are we on? And I would encourage anybody who is not currently recycling to please do so. That way we can make sure that our trash, that we're not breathing it, a couple days later. So we're going to talk about a few other things that we can do in our home to keep our indoor air healthier and just our indoor environment healthier. So Guy did a wonderful job of briefly detailing some of the issues that we have in our homes. And so again, I'll have to be rather brief, but I will go over as quickly as I can some of the things that we want to do. So we have a handout on the table that I think most of you picked up, that it's the top 5 tips to avoid toxics in the home. And if you need to contact me, my contact information is at the bottom of that sheet. But so first off are a couple of very simple things. We want to have as much air circulation in our home as possible. So now that the cold winter months are over, we want to open our windows. Try to minimize your use of air conditioning because we really need that air exchange. Our homes are much more energy efficient than they used to be, which is wonderful for savings on our energy bill, but it means that there's less air exchange in our homes, so less fresh air coming in, less of our indoor air going out. And the EPA has tested the indoor air of homes in all sorts of environments. They tested in the rural areas, in the suburb areas, and in the city, and they found that no matter where they were, that the air inside was on average 2 to 5 times more polluted than the air immediately outside. So it didn't matter where you lived, that we just were trapping a lot of this stuff in our homes, and we have more chemicals that we use than we used to. So that's all the more reason that we need to have that air exchange. So open up your windows as much as you can. And of course you want to use screens. We'll get down to that in a little bit. So take your shoes off at the door. Try to have some indoor shoes, some little slippers that you can use on the inside of your home, or at least have kids and everybody wipe their shoes really, really well if you don't have that house rule of having people take off their shoes. Because we walk through so much during the day, we might be walking on the sidewalk and walking on pesticides and not realizing it, or walking through a parking lot and stepping in oil. And so we don't want to track all of that into our home, where children might be playing on the carpet, pets are very close to the carpet, and all of these chemicals can get trapped in the carpet or just reside in the dust on the floor. And so we will later be breathing that. So we don't want to bring that into our home. You can wipe your shoes and leave them at the door. So 2 very simple things to start off with that can make a big difference for you. We had a question about pesticides and trying to avoid pests. So I can't get into too much detail on that, but Brian, who organized this, was able to find, there's a very, very handy booklet that's on the table that I would encourage you, if you didn't get one, I think the table might be empty now, but Brian said he has extras, so hunt him down to find them because this is very, very useful. But we'll go over a couple things here. So there's what are called conducive conditions, which means if we have conditions in our home that are welcoming to pests, we can go back to a little basic biology here, what do all animals need to survive, including us? Can we name a couple things? Real basic. What's that? Water, right. We all need water, food, and shelter, and air, yes. So air, food, water, and shelter are your basic needs for us and for any animal. So if we are providing that, we're basically welcoming pests into our home. So if you have a leaky faucet, that's a constant source of water for any pests. So whether it's leaking in the sink or might be a pipe that's dripping behind the sink, you want to check and try to fix any leaks that you might have. If we are storing our recycling, we want to do that in a responsible way and make sure we're not storing big piles of cardboard, for example, because that can welcome pests also. And so any dark protected areas are good spots where they might be. And if you have children or grandchildren or even pets, if there's crumbs, that will provide food for the pests. So we want to try to clean up the counters after dinner and before we go to bed at night and try to sweep up any crumbs that might be left on the floor so that we're not providing food and saying, hey, come on, have some dinner. So first of all, don't welcome the pests. And the next thing you can do is try to actually keep them out. So when you're opening your windows, you want to have screens that cover your entire window opening so that no bugs can fly in or crawl in. Another handy thing, which is great for energy efficiency as well, is a door sweep. So this is a simple metal strip that usually has like a little, either a piece of rubber or a little brush-like thing at the bottom. So that's called a door sweep, which covers that crack between the door and the floor so bugs can't crawl in, but also in the wintertime it keeps the cold air out, so it serves a couple purposes there. Any cracks? I mean, there's a lot of old homes in the city. I live in an old home, and there's a lot of cracks in the house. So we try to fill those as much as we can with caulk or even some steel wool. Or you can look up different ways to try to fix those cracks and crevices. So keeping them out is another way. And then if you do have pests in your home, to try to use the least toxic methods possible. And also outside your home if you feel like you have weeds or insect pests outside your home. So I brought a couple little props here. So this is an example of a pantry moth trap, which is just basically a sticky trap that has a tiny little disc in it that is a pheromone. So it's the female hormone that draws in all of the males, and then they get stuck in the glue and they just sort of hang out there till they die. So not very pleasant for them, but it's a great way to get rid of your pantry moths without using pesticides. So this is just one example. There's many different kinds of non-toxic traps out there, or least toxic might be using boric acid or diatomaceous earth. So again, this booklet that Brian had laid on the table has goes down by each pest. You can look up ants or roaches or different things and find out what your non-toxic solutions are. And I've listed a couple on the handout here. Guy mentioned household cleaners also a little bit, and so I'd like to talk about that. And we talked about volatile organic compounds, VOCs, and so that's very important for your household cleaning. How many people love their air fresheners in their home? Oh, we've got a few. Okay, I am going to really beg you to not use those, because basically what you're doing is you're pumping VOCs into your indoor air. You are polluting your indoor air when you use those. And when the EPA tested indoor air and outdoor air, they were testing for VOCs as the indicator of a pollutant. So we want to try to avoid covering up any odors and just deodorize instead. Let's get rid of the odor. Let's get to the root of the problem instead of covering it up. There's some baking soda. Baking soda is great. 50 cents a box or $1 a box. You can get this at the grocery store, and this absorbs odors. So you can put an open box in your fridge, of course. You can sprinkle some in the bottom of the trash can or in the cat box, or just place it in any area that you feel like there might be odors. White vinegar is actually another way to absorb odors. You can place a bowl in the refrigerator. It's very good at absorbing odors. You can make a spray of vinegar and water. And of course, that's good at cleaning mirrors or windows, but it's also a good way to deodorize. And so on that note, there's the small little handout here, which has a few recipes for making your own household cleaners using baking soda, vinegar, and a plain simple soap such as Castile soap. So this is Castile soap, which is an olive oil-based soap or a hemp oil-based soap. So this is a very simple soap, and if you can't find this, you can just use like your liquid dishwashing soap. But I've been seeing this in more and more places now. So this is just a nice simple soap that you can use for hand washing or for cleaning. Okay. Oh, and I did bring this to show you that if you do feel like you want to introduce a scent into your home, there are ways to do it with essential oils rather than synthetic fragrances. So this has orange oil in it, and it's in a pump rather than an aerosol. So if you do like to have some scents every now and then, there are ways to do it in a little more healthier way. So, okay. And antibacterials, I'd like to talk about that very briefly. anything that we have in our home that says kills germs has to have an active ingredient. So you turn the bottle over and you look to see what the active ingredient is, and most likely it's triclosan. And triclosan can cause problems in our home, but then also once it gets into the environment. So we want to try to avoid the use of antibacterials. And we're finding that we don't really need the antibacterials. We don't need to kill every germ. What we can do is have responsible hand washing. Every time you might go to a public restroom, you might see a sign that says, wash for 20 to 30 seconds. And that's what we need to do to effectively remove the germs from our hands. We don't have to actually kill them. So warm water, a gentle soap, and 20 to 30 seconds of rinsing underneath the faucet. We can teach kids to sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, or their ABCs or something to make sure that they're doing it long enough. But that will simply remove the germs. Now, again, white vinegar is very useful. It can also kill germs. So that vinegar and water spray that you made, you can spray down your countertops at night. You don't have to rinse afterwards, and that will kill germs on your cutting boards or your countertops. And if you feel like you really want to take it up another level, you can follow that up with a spray of hydrogen peroxide. The two, one and then the other, not mixed, but one and then the other, doesn't matter which one you use first, will kill 99.99% of salmonella and other germs that you might have. So those are great ways to kill germs if you feel like you need to, and without using the triclosan. So I encourage you to just look at the bottle that you might be using of your hand dish soap, see if it says kills germs, and try to find one that doesn't say that. One reason, because when we're using the hand liquid soap, when we're washing our dishes, the triclosan in that soap can mix with the chlorine in our sink water and create chloroform. So this is not something that we want to be breathing while we're washing dishes. We don't want to introduce that into our home. And then once it goes down the drain and gets into the waterways, it can break down into dioxin, which Guy mentioned is linked to cancer. So there's a lot of reasons. It also, when we're killing germs, we're not just killing the bad germs, we're also killing good germs. And we have beneficial bacteria in our bodies that help us to be healthy and in our gut. And so we want to keep those good bacteria around because that supports our immune system. It helps us to fight off against allergies and asthma. There's a concern that our heavy use of antibacterial products could be linked to the rise in asthma and allergies. Okay, and so then on the back of this one with the yellow, orange, and red, you'll see caution, warning, and danger. Now, so these are 3 words that if you buy any cleaning product, it has to say caution, warning, or danger on it. They do not list the ingredients, so we have to go by indicator words. And the color coding is mine. You won't see the color coding on the products. You just look for those words. And danger is the most toxic category of cleaning products. And so you can check out your cleaning products at home and see what they say and try to find a product that will do the job that is in the caution category. Those are going to be your least toxic products that you can find. And again, like Guy said, if you smell it, then that means that there's chemicals that are evaporating into your air. So like rust removers, toilet bowl cleaners, drain openers, those are going to be some of your ones that might say danger. And again, if you have to use those, open your window, ventilate, get a fan blowing, pulling the air out. And then lastly, on paint products, if anybody's doing any home renovations and you have some sort of refinishing or paint products that you might be using, when you're inside, use water-based because you are going to reduce very greatly the number of VOCs by simply buying a water-based product instead of an oil-based product. So that is a simple thing that you can look for also. And then on the bottom of this handout are some websites where you can find some more information on a lot of these different things that we talked about today. So thank you for having me, and thanks for coming today.